Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast where you can be as weird as you want to be. I'm Chris Daly, and tonight I'm joined by Dawn and Phil Langston. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
Excellent.
Really well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Very, very excited we can make this happen, and I'm glad you guys had the time to come to chat with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, so to kick these things off, I usually like to start things off with an icebreaker question. So today's question is, what is a current trend that you just don't get, that you just don't understand? I'll go first.
Okay.
The current trend for me that I don't understand is when kids will make up words for words that already exist. Uh like when they shorten words that are already super short anyway. Like cap means truth and just that's fire instead of that's awesome, just stuff like that. And my oldest daughter, who is 18, she just makes fun of me. She's like, those are just the words we use now. But I'm like, it's you're shortening words that are already short, and I don't understand why. So that's one of the trends, and I guess that's just me being old, I guess, but that's just one of the current trends I just don't get. And my daughter's like, whatever, you're too old to get it. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, actually, that is probably close to what I would be that I don't understand. But then I look back at when I was a kid, and we would say things, that my parents didn't understand. So I think it's just a generational thing that it's a rite of passage as you're getting old when you start yelling at kids for being on your lawn and not understanding their lingo. Those are the uh, things that I think as you get older. What do you?
Gosh, just technology is hard for me. All of the new social media is a
Oh,
struggle.
it's so
And
hard.
things that I think should be intuitive, I just really struggle with. So I'm thankful
Oh,
for my kids uh jump in and help us and help me when I'm like, I don't understand why this isn't working. So I think for me, just all the developments in technology is tough.
I get it. I like you said, I still struggle with stuff like Instagram, like posting stuff to stories and like going and editing and making all the stories all nice and fun. I don't understand that. My daughter's like, Dad, it's so easy. And I'm like,
I know.
Well, and
so
then
yeah.
the youth. I guess for me, I don't know if it's necessarily a trend, but in terms of like texting, I'm old fashioned, and a lot of times I'll want to pick up the phone and talk to, like for instance, our daughter or something, and
Yeah.
it they really don't want to talk on the phone. You know,
Yeah.
when I was growing up in the '80s, that's kind of what we did. That's all we had. So
Yeah.
it was really long phone cords that would reach into like the closet or into a back room, so you'd
Yep.
have some privacy,
Yep.
call waiting, or and at the same time your dad wants to get on and dial up internet, and so talking was kind of our thing.
Yeah, I get that because I was a kid of the late 80s and the 90s, so I was there still for the phone cord phone. I was also there, when cordless phones kind of became a thing too. So yeah, I get that. And then kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, Phil, you just got to go put some common sense on it and kind of just blow my whole thing out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I never really thought about it that way. Just, it's just a repeating of, it's just the times just repeating themselves. When we were kids, saying stuff our parents didn't get. Now it's just kind of the same thing. So yeah, I guess when you put that common sense spin on it, Phil, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, everything just comes around,
Full circle. Yep.
the clothing. I'm starting to see those big jeans. Remember the big, I can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, they were like
The ni-
massive.
the 90s are cool again, which I guess is okay because the 90s were pretty awesome. So I guess that's totally okay, I guess.
I had a friend that said when back in the day she wore those because she was, I think, kind of a skater gal, and
Yeah,
she said she could stuff a whole Little Caesars pizza into her pants
I've
and take
heard
it
that.
into the movies.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I actually used to work at Edwards here in town, and I could tell you stories of all the stuff that people snuck into movies, and
Hmm.
pizza was one of them. I'm not sure how they did it, but pizza was one of them. I think I've told this story before where somebody came in and they snuck a cheeseburger in their sock, and they were wearing short.
Ew.
They were wearing shorts. So I'm like,
Oh.
Oh,
I don't want to know where the fries are, so just go ahead and just I'm not going to say nothing. Just keep
yeah,
moving.
yeah, really. That's a little extra salt from the sweat. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Now it was funny. We were going into a movie a couple of years ago at Edwards, and we had loaded up with candy and had my water because I like to drink water at the movie.
Yeah.
And so Dawn opened her purse. They were checking, and they were checking for guns. They like pushed the candy bars out of the way, didn't even. And I'm like thinking, growing up in the '80s, they busted you for that,
Yeah.
'90s and all that. So I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to take it back to the car, and he didn't even care.
They used to bust for stuff like that, so I'm surprised that
Oh,
they didn't.
yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it's good they had their priorities, but yeah, when I worked there, they used to bust for that stuff hardcore all the time.
Yeah, they're pretty lax now. I
Yeah.
mean, especially when you uh, get your ticket online, they kind of just shoo you right in. They don't even
Yeah.
pay attention anymore.
It's true. They kind of just streamline the whole process now.
They're busy trying to get you to buy the expensive He-Man popcorn bucket that you have to walk by. And of course, me being an '80s, kid, I'm like, man, I really want that popcorn bucket. But then what am I, I have some at home and I'm like, what do I do with all the popcorn buckets?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I saw a guy a podcaster I listened to, he has a big collection of them and he was going to give away to his sons. They're like, "What are we going to do with these? Like, when you die, we're going to cremate you and put your ashes in one of these popcorn buckets."
Uh,
There you go.
it can become like the vomit salad bowl, popcorn bowl for making
Exactly.
cookies.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yes.
The everything bowl, just like, us kids of the 80s/90s had. There was that one bowl
Yeah.
that was for everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. When you're sick, your mom set it next to you and you're like,
Yep.
aren't you going to make like a pasta out of that with that, for the weekend? And I'm barfing in it.
Not for
Yeah.
salad.
Yeah,
Yeah. Crazy times back then.
for sure.
All right, guys. So, the whole concept of fueled by weird is, your hobbies, your interests, all that stuff come together to make you who you are. Um, so what have you guys been doing lately to kind of, embrace your hobbies, your interests, stuff like that?
I would say for me, it would be opening Pop Fusion, the store here in town. Um, because I've collected for so long. I have boxes of toys and comics and stuff that, the hoarder side of me is like, okay, I can't get rid of these, but I don't want anyone else to have them
Yeah.
or lose them. So
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah.
them in totes and uh, and no one ever gets to really see what I've collected um, and I'll go down there occasionally in my man cave and check them out, but in general, I don't really look at them as much. So the store is gonna be nice because I can sell and still be surrounded by the stuff that I love being around,
Yeah.
and then enjoy people coming in to find things, treasures that they've been looking for, um, or help them get the things that they want, stuff like that. Um, for me, that's the best part of having this store. So that's kind of where I think my hobby has pushed me off to is how
Nice.
can I start sharing it now that I'm in, my 50s and all that, and you can't take it with you.
Yeah.
And these younger guys are starting to get into it a little more and understand, like with the movies coming out with He-Man and everything. Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, they're understanding what, the appeal maybe to for us 50, 40 some, 50 some year olds.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. After my dad passed away, he had a ton of collectibles too. And I know Brandon, Brandon, we know Brandon.
Hmm.
He came and actually bought a bunch of my dad's stuff and the stuff that we didn't sell or the stuff that we just didn't want to sell kind of got split up between me and my siblings. So I have a few totes here with all my dad's stuff that just kind of sit around and I don't really have anything to do with them. I've been trying to figure out stuff to do, but no, I totally get it. That's cool that you have a place to kind of display your collection for, everybody to see. Don, what about you? What have you been doing to embrace your hobbies and your interests lately?
So I have been working on making some really fun cross stitch stuff
Nice.
for to sell in our store, Pop Fusion. Because I know I like to cross stitch, and granny crafts are a trend now.
Yeah.
And so just to come up with some fun things different from what you can find, going to the big box stores. So I've been making some of my own patterns. I've made a pattern with the robot from Retro X that I'm going to be
Nice.
giving away at our Retro X event as a free
Right on.
pattern. And then I'm working on one right now that's inspired by, there's a picture of Fred Kiefer. He was one of the early pioneers in Idaho Falls,
Yeah.
and he and his brother were very unique. There's a picture of him holding a whole bunch of snakes, and I've always loved that picture. So I made a cross stitch pattern based off of that picture. And I'd like to make a little series of like local, regional, kind of interesting people. That could
That's
be
cool.
a fun thing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. That's very, very cool.
thank
And
you.
I definitely am excited to talk about the store. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but I'm very, very excited. Um, Before we get that far, you guys have been busy setting up the store. You've been busy, of course, setting up RetroX. Um, but when you're not doing that during the day, Phil, I know you're a graphic designer. What was it that got you started in graphic design?
Um, I went to ISU and BSU, and I was studying. I wanted to be an elementary school teacher,
Oh, nice.
and um, so Dawn, when I met Dawn, she was 2 years ahead of me in school. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take some time off and work full time so that she can focus and get done. So then I did that, and then I started working for a company that sold screen printing, vinyl cutters, heat presses, things like that. And I was their customer service, one of their reps. And then I got interested uh, more into the designing side of it because I had worked at a company years ago. You remember Thrifty Nickel?
I do.
So this was called Ad Saver. It was their competition in Pocatello. And
Okay.
so I was the guy that would go out with my camera, take pictures of the cars the dealers wanted to put in the paper. And
Yeah.
then I'd have to go back in crunch time and like hurry up and put things together. Like if it was like the Cinco de Mayo car festival, whatever, I'd have to create something for that using Illustrator. And then I took some classes in college on it. And once I worked at the place I was telling you about as a rep, they needed someone in the technical side of things. So I went down and started learning their software, which was Corel Draw, comparable to your Illustrator,
Okay.
Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah.
And it was just something I just started picking up. And the next thing I know, I'm learning how to screen print and pad print and all these other things and training. So we would get customers that would fly in, and I would have a training class every 2 weeks of about 30 businesses around the United States that would fly into Idaho Falls, and I'd train them for a week. We train them on marketing, graphic design, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of where I started with the graphic side of things, doing a lot of production designing versus a lot of artsy stuff. I was more meat and potatoes. Okay, customer wants their logo. I got to color separate it and get it all ready for print to burn onto the screens and that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I started.
That's cool. Don, what about you? What do you do during the day to keep yourself busy?
Well, I work in quality assurance, quality control. So it's very structured work. And so when I'm not working, I like to do things that are a little bit more on my terms, like
Sure.
making patterns. I also make art from recycled materials,
That's cool.
things like that. So yeah, I try to have a balance between, structure and that freedom. to
Definitely.
create.
That's
But
awesome.
she's also, I always like bragging her up because she's done chemistry, microbiology, and
Oh,
all these
wow.
different things. She always used to threaten me, if I made her mad, she had access to E. coli and things like that. So I get a special
Wow.
sandwich.
Mhm. But it
That's
hasn't happened
crazy.
yet. I mean, I gave us food poisoning, but we both got sick, so I wasn't trying to kill him.
Bad pork chops.
Fair enough. No, it's really nice you're able to kind of keep that balance of structure and creativity because as we get older, it's a lot harder to keep that kind of balance, because you get, life happens, you got adult responsibilities you have to take care of, so it's really hard to kind of cater to the fun side when you're always busy on the work side. So that's cool
Yeah,
you've been able to find that balance because it's super hard for a lot of people to do.
it is hard. It is.
Very cool. All right, guys. So, um, for listeners that have listened before, I talked to Brandon last year, about setting up RetroX, and I got from his perspective, um, how RetroX came around. Now I know that Brandon isn't involved anymore, and you two are the head honchos in charge of RetroX. So, what I want to know, Phil, is from your perspective, what was it that got the idea rolling to even start RetroX in the first place? Like how did how did you kind of get involved with getting this started?
Well, Brandon and I were toy friends. It sounds
Mhm.
weird, but yeah, we were toy friends. We had play dates. No, we I would actually buy toys. Brandon was like I call him a toy hound because he sniffs out every toy in town
Yeah,
and
he
gets
does.
really amazing deals.
Yeah,
And so, which is great for us toy guys because I don't have to buy off eBay. I can just buy from him. And
exactly.
um, so we would meet in parking lots and things like that. And then we got to know each other more and became more like, toy friends. Um, and one day we were talking on the phone because we had mentioned it a few times, like, wouldn't it be cool to have a toy show? And I'm like, yeah, it would be really cool because I get some of the Utah toy people up here.
Yeah,
Um, and so we started kicking around the idea of just doing a toy show. And then one day he called me and said, "Hey, you want to do one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So then he came up with the rec center, down in by the
downtown.
river.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it was 7,000 square feet. And so we thought, well, let's do that. And then the next thing I mentioned, what about cosplay? And I remember Brandon was kind of like, I don't know. And we started researching it more and found, holy cow, there's like a massive, uh, just fandoms and all these, you know, it just went on and on with so many people liking so many different things. And so we thought, well, there's no Comic Con anywhere near here. So let's
right.
put together just a little grassroots, tiny little con in a gymnasium that smelled like feet and
It's 100
and
degree.
100 degrees that day with no
Oh
air
man,
conditioning.
that was a
And
rough day.
that was, oh man.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you that so we started putting everything together. Um, he had his jobs, I had my jobs. I did a lot of the graphic work and the
sure.
money and the behind the scenes, and I kind of pushed Brandon to do more like interviews, and he did a lot of like figuring out where the booths were going to go and setting up a lot of the permits, things that we needed. He Because he had his own business, so he knew a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
And so we worked really well because we both had uh, our, our specialties. And so we put together, the first one, and we were shocked to see a massive line outside. Uh, I mean, I remember when a volunteer came up and said, "Hey, uh, you should look outside." And I went outside and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I mean, it
Yeah,
was just wrapped around, and it would float all day. And we figured we had right around 2,000 people show up to a 7 hour, 8 hour show,
yeah.
um, and no. celebrity guests, nothing. I mean, we didn't really have a lot of money, to put into it.
Right.
I think we had like maybe 5 grand together or something like that, or it wasn't much. And so that kind of started uh, the idea of, okay, how can we make this bigger after we saw the attendees? And just for me, it was awesome because I was just standing there. I remember the moment, and I just looked out, and it was shoulder to shoulder, and I just got goosies,
Yeah.
goosebumps because I'm like, man, we did not think. I thought maybe we'd get like 500 or 600 people, and the vendors were like, dude, we're killing it out here, because people didn't, they have nowhere to go to buy stuff that they like other
Yeah.
than, and shopping online's great if you're looking for deals and things like that. But
Right.
you don't get that same feeling when you see that toy, comic, card, Pokemon card, whatever that you've been looking for,
Yep.
and you get to touch it, and that's it. I mean, you go home with it usually. So
Yeah.
for us, it was just we had one food vendor. It was Sully's. He has that restaurant
Yeah.
now,
Hmm.
and he's like, dude, I haven't been able to sit. It's all day just cooking, 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 cooking. It was just the poor guy just didn't have time to sit down. He was constantly making food because I
Yeah.
didn't. I thought the farmers market would get some, they get food there, but he was killing it. And so all of that kind of came together to after that event, Brandon and I were like, okay, we need to find a bigger venue. And then we're not Mountain America yet, but we needed something, more than twice as big, which where the Elks Lodge came in.
Very
And
cool.
it has air conditioning.
Yes.
That it does. That it does. Yeah, I remember that very first year was super awesome because, like I've said to other people I've had on the show, until, you guys started Retro X, you had to drive like 4 hours minimum, to either Boise or Salt Lake. And if you know, you know. Um,
Mhm.
and that was the closest that we have. But now, like we've got this awesome convention that's right, 10 minutes from your front door for some people or less even. And, like you said, you're looking for that holy grail collector item. And, it's, of course, you can go online on eBay or whatever and grab it. But, just seeing it in person so you can just kind of just grab it and take it home with you right that day is just like, it's as my late friend Adam would say, it's the thrill of the hunt, really, where you're going and hunting for it in real life and you come across it, in the wild, let's say. And it just is, it's a whole different feeling. And we have, locals to town will know that, we've got a lot of, little craft fair type things that are very similar to Retro X, but they cater to a completely different audience, which is totally fine. There's a huge market for that, but you don't really have anything quote unquote nerd centric that's like that until Retro X. And Retro X is like a big craft show, except just strictly catered to nerds, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, first of all, thank you so much for even bringing this together and starting this thing because this has been an incredible thing to look forward to. And like you said, from an attendee perspective, that first year was wild. The amount of people and the amount of people just coming out, just feeling comfortable, doing their cosplay and
Hmm.
just coming to just congregate with other nerds was just. Yes, it was very hot and sweaty, and yes, it was very crowded and packed, but just like the excitement was just a whole crazy awesomeness. And not that that's gone away. It's gotten more every single year. Just because you've got more things featured, you got more things coming around, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And that's a super exciting thing to see just grow over time.
You mentioned Adam from East Idaho, is it?
Yep.
Well, yeah. Funny story. I got along really well with Adam, and
Yeah.
he interviewed me at the first event, and he was so passionate
Oh,
and
big time.
just telling me his story, and
Yeah.
um, which got me emotional, just because you know, um, I really didn't collect toys or comics in school. I played sports, and you know, I really didn't do Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that.
Right.
It wasn't until I was probably 19, 20 before I finally grabbed my first comic book, which was, and I still have it. Uh, Actually, it was a little bit before that. It was probably 18. My first comic was Spawn #1, Todd McFarlane. I
That's
bought it
awesome.
at a comic book shop. I had walking by, and the colors were just so different than the old paper Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
You know, and it just screamed at me. And the greens and the McFarlane's, just the way he does his art, and it just brought me in there. And I was pulling money out and buying that thing before I knew, and knew it. And I, to this day, it's still sitting in my collection. But going back to Adam, so he comes in, and Adam and I, we were both bigger guys.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the heat was even worse for us. Uh, he's like, I want to interview you. And there was really no place there, if you remember.
I remember.
So I found an unlocked door, and we opened it, and it was like the doves flew out, and like heaven opened because AC hit us so hard.
Oh man.
And I looked at him, and I'm like, you want to do it in here? And he's like, thank you. So we go in there, and we close the door, and it's quiet, and it's so cold. It's like too cold. And he interviews me, and I'm like, is that all you need? And he's like, yeah. And I said, you want to go back in right now? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I don't either. So we just sat in there and gabbed and talked about, our the things we enjoy. And meanwhile, Brandon's out there having to take care of everything because I'm hiding in the air conditioning. And I didn't tell Brand. I don't even think I told Brandon about the air conditioned room till after.
Oh
I said,
man.
"Yeah, there's an air conditioned room. It's heaven in there." But
It's
yeah,
funny.
Adam, I was really, really. Uh, I didn't realize how hard that would hit me because I wasn't like super close, but I was close in terms of Retro X, and
Yeah.
we would message back and forth. And um, so yeah, that hurt because he was such a good uh, what's the word?
He's just such a great supporter
Yeah,
of
Yeah.
Retro X, of
and
the
kids.
artists.
Yeah, he had a real big heart and he was hoping for something like this for a really long time. So the fact that, you guys made it happen. I remember we had talked about it because we had picked up the same comic book from McKay Wadsworth. Um,
Oh yeah,
it was an awesome comic book. But yeah, we had talked about it and we kind of, riffed on each other about that. But he was very excited for this one. He was super excited for the future of it. And I think if he was still here, he'd be real excited with, how things have been going.
Yeah.
good. I was talking about him to we had a volunteer meeting, and I was talking to the volunteers about him. Next thing you know, I'm like getting tears and breaking up just because I was
Yeah,
thinking the same thing. I'm like, if he saw, you know, that hot, stuffy 7,000 square foot gymnasium to where we're at, what we're bringing in, we're at the point, we're busting out of the seams, have no room for anything else. I think he would have really, really liked it.
yeah, I know. I know he would have. And yeah, I'm with you, man. Just talking about him for too long, it's hard not to get a little bit choked up.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and we'll keep this thing going. So when you guys decide, what's going to be included every single year, when it comes to vendors, when it comes to, Artist Alley, even guests that you guys invite or events that you're going to do, how do you decide what's going to be included?
Well, this year I kind of had Dawn handle the judging. I helped a little bit, but if she wants to answer some of that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so obviously we know the limitations of the facility we're in and
Yeah.
how many vendors we can bring in, artists, things like that. So we just kind of look at that and we did our call for applications and went through all the applications. Um, it felt like within a couple of weeks from when we opened applications, we would have had enough to fill the entire venue.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we don't have room for everybody. And so
Sure.
we had to really carefully review the applications and try to pick, people that were really unique and interesting and fun. Um, Try not to get too many of the same types of vendors so that we had a really good variety.
That's nice.
Um, with the artists, we try to have a really good variety. We have people that return every year and we love them. We love their support, but we also squeeze in a couple new ones every once in a while too. And we like to continue that as we grow, that we can get in some more new ones. So this year we have, I think, two more people that make their own comics. So that'll be some really interesting people to meet
Oh,
and visit
nice.
with. Yeah, so we've got a really strong show this year. Celebrity guest fill usually takes care of that. It used to be a huge effort to try to get a hold of the agents that handled the celebrities in past years, but word has gotten out about our show, and other celebrities have had good experiences. And so now they're reaching out to us, which is so helpful and a
Oh,
huge
definitely.
compliment. Yeah.
Definitely.
And then, our cosplay judges are amazing, super creative, intelligent people. And the cosplay contest just brings in so many people. And so that's obviously continuing. And then last year we didn't have a panel room, but this year we are going to have a panel room. So we're going to have guest interviews, interviews with our celebrities, some it's just some other interesting panels about drawing, cosplay, comics. So it's a really rounded show. We're also going to have the traveling Stormtrooper Helmet Museum there,
That's
which
cool.
is a really neat, neat thing. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a really great show.
Yeah, trying the in terms of the guests, that's I did not realize that is a full-time job.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure.
I mean, anywhere you're looking at the logistics of it, setting things up with because you never talk to the actual actor, actress, or whomever. You're always talking to agents. So trying to work out like the flights and the per diems and the guarantees and the hotel and that they only want yellow M&Ms, so you have to pick out the. I'm joking, uh, but yeah, there's so much behind it that I just thought, oh well, if you have some money, you just call someone up and they'll be happy to fly into Idaho Falls, Idaho. No,
Sure.
it's uh it's even harder here just because of population, how spread out we are. Um, from town to town to town. So they're not sure, the actors, actresses, is it worth my time to not go to this convention to try this one? But it also helps that we haven't had a convention because
Yeah.
this is like for them, um, this is untouched territory. They don't know. So they could do really well, um, or they could do really bad. So it's kind of a crapshoot when you're doing a smaller population versus Salt Lake or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want me to go more into detail on that part during this question, or if you have that for.
No, that's fine. You just do whatever you need to want to do.
So the cool thing about it now versus the second year when we started getting guests is before I'd call them and I'd have to be, well, we have a water fountain that's really cool that has an eagle and we can see that, and I'll take I'd send them pictures, and
Yeah.
we're next to Yellowstone. Have you ever been to Yellowstone? And so trying to like chum the water so that they'll bite, and
Yeah.
so they were like, well, the guarantee's this or the guarantee's that. Um, and we had a budget, Brandon and I, the second one, we're like, oh my gosh, between the hotel and the flight and the per diem and the extra suitcases and you're kind of getting overwhelmed.
Sure.
because there's so much money that has to go out before you even see a penny back.
Yeah.
And you don't know how many attendees are going to show. Um, and so uh, in the beginning, having all of this hit us and learning more about guarantees, um, it was very overwhelming. This third time around, it's gotten a lot easier. Again, like Dawn had mentioned, we're getting people waiving their guarantees. We're getting people that are more like, okay, I don't have, you can put me in this flight class, versus that flight class, because they've heard or they start seeing, okay, if you look at the population from East Idaho, if you look at people that are coming from Twin Falls and Burley and all the way down through Pocatello, back up into Rexburg, Rigby, um, I mean, it's a lot of people if you do the math and add all the towns.
Yeah.
Um, so they're seeing that, well, yeah, there's a lot of people potential. And then every guest we have had has met their guarantee except for one, which is really great. I was we always worry, are we have to pay more out of ticket sales for these guys? But the person was just because their guarantee was double what everyone else was.
Mm.
Everyone else met their guarantee the first day, and by the second
Wow.
day, it was just gravy.
Sure.
Um, so I think that went a long way with their talent agents and that saying, okay, they were pretty happy. They said they'd come back. So we feel comfortable telling our other clients about you guys and so on. Um, and knowing your price where you like to be at for guarantees and stuff like that. So that was a huge, that was huge for me. Um, I know Brandon, he would have to like tell me to do breathing exercises because I'm like, they want how much, or we have to come up with how much, and so it's really fun though to get to know these talent agents, and they're super helpful. Every agent I've
Yeah.
dealt with has been just really, really helpful. Uh, so for me, picking people is really hard because everyone likes so many different things
Yeah.
and so many fandoms, and you want to try to like Brandon and I would have problems where we're like, I really want to get this person in because I want to meet them and get their autograph. Well, maybe the other person doesn't want, the attendees. Uh, so we'd have to go out of our safety uh, and say, okay, we're going to spend money on this person. I don't know anything about anime, but they seem really popular what they're in.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I have to do when I'm picking and choosing what guests are coming in. Is if anyone messages me, I look at it and say, oh, that'd actually be a fun guest. Let's see how much they are and if they're available and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's cool. And yeah, I've had to deal with agents a little bit when it comes to the podcast. I mean, of course,
Mhm.
I haven't had to, discuss money and all that stuff, but yeah, it's very rarely do you ever talk to the actual person until like you meet them face to face or, on a Zoom call or whatever. So it can be a little tricky and it definitely is a lot of work for sure.
Yeah, yeah. In the end, though, we've had really good guests. They've done really well with our attendees. I think that one of the hardest thing is the price point of
Sure.
selfies and autographs of what our community is willing to pay versus, people who have gone to FanX in Utah for 10, 11, 12, 12 years now.
Yeah.
Um, they're trained. They know they're going to have to save anywhere from 60 to 100 to 200 per art off or whomever,
Yeah. Hmm.
actor, actress. So they know we need to save like $1,000 just to get this many autographs, on top of if we want to buy art or comics or toys or whatever. Um, where Idaho Falls in this area, they haven't been trained yet that this is kind of where you need to have, $40 to maybe $60 right in there. That because that's where our guests are going to be at,
Yeah.
most of the time. So I think once as we grow and move forward at each year, the local people will start understanding more about, okay, how much it's going to cost, the autograph, the selfie, uh, whatever they want to spend their money on there.
Yeah.
So that's to me, I think will help us succeed once everyone kind of starts knowing each year, this is my budget.
But I do want to jump in and say, it
Yeah.
also depends on the experience that the person is looking for.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Definitely.
cost any money to wait in line and meet
Yeah.
these celebrities and talk to them and hear their stories. A lot of these people, you're like, you think they're one way, and then once you sit and talk with them and get to know them, you see a whole different side of them that you didn't expect. And so, even if you aren't in a place where you want to buy an autograph or a selfie, you can still go and meet the celebrities and enjoy them and have a good time.
The difference between us and a bigger con is it's kind of like going to a big, huge, rock concert that has like 10,000 people
Yeah.
versus one in a bar. You get that experience, that close up, you
Mhm.
might get to talk to them longer,
Mhm.
because you don't have 50 people behind you. That's something I really love about the size of ours is, because I always hate when I get meet someone and I'd been in line for 2 hours and they're like kind of just shooing me off, their agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, it's signed now, no more questions, and our guests have just been amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
very interactive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the plan that we worked out, where I've been kind of talking to a few of the people. I've talked to David Fielding already. I'm talking to Bettina Bush next week. I talked to Jeff Cox last week. I think giving people a chance to, kind of, if they don't know who the person is beforehand, giving them a chance to kind of, get the experience of seeing who they are. And because, like you said, you've waited in line for a couple of hours to meet somebody and you only get a couple of minutes with them where you might not be able to get to know them that well. Or, I don't know about this person, what's going to make me wait 2 hours in line for this person? Granted, like you said, the lines at Retro X aren't that long particularly, but, just for the sake of the example, um, what's going to make me want to stand in line to meet this person? And being able to see ahead of time, like, oh hey, David Fielding's actually a really awesome guy, or Jeff Cox, I'm a huge fan of Garbage Pail Kids, I'm going to go out of my way to meet Jeff Fox when he's here, or Jeff Cox, sorry. um so I think that's really cool to kind of give them a chance to meet the guests really kind of before the con.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I agree.
agree.
Now, and Dawn, we were talking about the panel schedule that's coming back this year. I think it was a cool idea a couple of years ago. I was part of the panel schedule that first year, just talking about podcasts, and it was a super cool experience. So, what was it that you guys had decided, this is something that we want to bring back this year?
So, the first time we did panels, they were attended, but not attended as fully as I think I would have liked to have seen.
Sure.
But a big part of that was we're growing and learning, and a lot of people didn't know we were doing panels, and
Yeah,
or the schedule wasn't posted.
Well, I didn't even know what a panel was.
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
so one of our volunteers, Kayla, stepped up and she wanted to take over, you know, owning the panels, and she's done a fantastic job getting those out. We posted the schedule on Facebook yesterday, so
Mhm.
that's out now, and it's going to make a huge difference, I think, in attendance and just the quality of them.
For sure. So,
Yeah.
how did you guys decide, what kind of things were going to be featured?
That's a good question. We kind of look at who our celebrities are, because some celebrities are willing to do interviews and panels, some would rather not. And so
Sure.
that's always part of the decision too.
Yeah.
We're going to do a team up panel with the two Power Ranger actors. So that'll be Christopher Kamen Lee and David J. Fieldings. And then there's also going to be a team up panel with Bettina Bush and Samantha Newark, the two voice actresses. And
Very cool.
then a standalone panel with Keone Young, if I remember correctly. So that took up some of the space. Kayla also is very familiar with panels, and so she kind of looked at, what are people interested in learning about or seeing, or what skill sets do our volunteers have that they might want to come and do a panel of something that people would be interested in.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of also helped to make decisions on what to do for panels. And worst case scenario, it's just a nice place to sit down and take a breather. Sometimes the convention gets a little hectic and it's a nice quiet area. You can just sit down and rest. So
Very
Yeah,
true.
I think the panels, as people understand them more, and we have more people that want to um, share their skills or their fandoms or whatever, I think it'll get better and better. I mean, every time we've gone to a convention that has panels, the panels are packed. I
Yeah.
mean, they're shooing people away. So I think once people start realizing what a panel's about, and hey, now I can actually ask a question to these guests, and especially when you have them team up. For instance, Christopher and David together. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, that's going to be fun. They
Agreed.
work together. They their storyline goes together.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's been years, so it's not like I'm going to break anyone's heart when you find out, you know, why Christopher and David are connected by
Yep.
their characters,
Yep.
and uh, which I think for real Power Ranger fans that really follow every different Ranger series, they'll understand what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
how their paths cross in the series.
No, I think it'll be cool. And like you mentioned, Don, you've got people just coming in, just kind of sitting down and take a break. They're not even really there to watch or participate in the panel, but they're just kind of taking a break. And I know during the panel I had a big group that came in just for that specifically, but they ended up getting right involved with the panel, and it was
Hmm.
kind of a cool thing. So, that's always kind of nice where people just show up unexpectedly, but then they end up, getting into it. So that's going to be cool, I think.
yeah,
It's going to be
yeah.
cool.
Talking about panels, I don't know if we have a Power Ranger. What's the
A
word?
moderator.
Moderator.
I think Kayla's on it.
Is Kayla gonna?
Yeah. But we're definitely keeping you involved also to help us. So
Cool.
we appreciate that.
No, for sure. Yeah, I want to apologize about that. I've missed the last couple meetings because it just coincides with my daughter's dance
Oh,
practice. But
It's
yeah.
okay.
but yeah, very cool. And yeah, I'll be, whatever I can do to help, I'd be glad to help out. We can chat about that later.
Absolutely. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, for sure. So, you guys, if you had unlimited resources, unlimited contacts for a future Retro X, what is we can say who is a guest or what is a showcase. What is something that you would like to feature in a future Retro X, granted if you had, unlimited resources. Don, let's start with you.
Well, I guess the first thing is something that we're looking at very closely is moving to a larger venue.
Okay.
Um, and that's not necessarily unlimited resources, but it's a resource
Sure.
plan that we have to
Yeah.
make. But for our fifth year next year, that's going to be happening. Um,
That's awesome.
yes. But as far as golly, as guests, I always have guests that I'm like, I totally want that person to come. Like Freddie Prince Jr.'s agent reached out to us and
Oh,
we were like,
wow.
oh, that would be so fun.
That would be cool.
Um, I mean, there's so many really fun, interesting people
Yeah.
that we could bring out. And I would, I love seeing the event grow. I love that it's available for families and, definitely keeping ticket prices low and our vendor booth fees low is important to us because we want people to actually be able to enjoy it,
Sure.
um, and not have it just, it's not a money grab. It's about the
Yeah.
community and bringing something that people enjoy and they can make a memory with their family. They can meet someone they're interested in. They can, make connections with others like people. And that's really important to us.
Yeah, and you don't
So that
want
wasn't
to.
a very good answer to your question, but
No, that's a great answer. There's tons of people. It's hard to pick one, and I kind of put you on the spot. But I get it. With how things are nowadays with the economy. Stuff is getting a lot more expensive. It's it's hard to you know decide how you want to price things, but you don't want to price out your guests from even coming to your event. You want to be able to make some kind of a profit, because again, you want to be able to keep growing and keep getting bigger and keep having more things to offer, like going to the Mountain America Center. But if you price your guests out, that's not going to be as possible. I know there's a lot of other places that are, making it harder to go to events because, they're just the price of the events is super high. And, it's kind of interesting to talk to people outside of Idaho Falls about, event centers and telling them that, between the Elks Lodge and the Mountain America Center, there's not really a midway. We don't, that's, the Elks Lodge is the biggest until you get to the Mountain America Center. So, that's getting to the Mountain America Center would be a really cool goal, but we just need to get all the support we can get. And, it's funny to think that, people are like, oh, you don't have anything bigger than that? Man, we're a little town, man. We didn't even have anything bigger than the Elks Lodge until just a couple of years ago.
yes.
Yeah, totally.
All right, Phil, what about you? Unlimited resources, unlimited contacts. Who's a
Uh,
dream guest for you?
Mark Hamill.
Okay.
Mark Hamill would be for me
It's a good
huge.
one for sure.
Someone that doesn't do conventions anywhere in the United States or anywhere, Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Uh, just because I love how he's so grouchy in interviews and around. And it's a lot of it is just he puts it on.
Yeah,
Uh, you can just tell. But I think that I would love to bring um, a cast in
that would be
of
cool.
something.
That would be
Um,
way cool.
and I've uh, I was talking to one person. I can't say who he is yet, but
Okay.
about next year, and we had talked about doing the cast of the original Mortal Kombat video game.
Ooh, okay.
So that's an idea we're kicking around.
That would be
But
cool.
yeah, for me, a cast I think just would be really fun, whether it be like a Ninja Turtle cast. I know they'll do that a lot.
That'd be a good one.
Um, yeah, so that's something that's on my list of to-dos.
Very cool.
I know as we meet with Mountain America and talk to them and figure out budgets and all that,
Yeah,
I want our fifth year, if that's where we just decide what we're doing for the fifth year. Um, I want a show header that will, you
big time
know,
headliner. Yeah,
really exactly. Thank you. And that will really stand out.
for sure.
Not that the others, don't. It's
Oh,
just
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just that everyone kind of knows the order in Hollywood and who makes
Yeah.
this and who makes that. And I appreciate every guest that we get in here. And I always geek out as soon as I pick them up at the airport and I'm alone in the car with them. And, and I don't know what to say, like, because they've experienced things that the average Joe doesn't experience.
Yeah.
Things that we love, entertainment that we love, they help be part of that, and
Oh,
it's
for
cool,
sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And so you do get a little like, wow, I finally met this person that I watched on TV or I heard on TV,
Yep.
my favorite cartoon or anime or whatever. And for me, that's probably the funnest part is that short moments I get to spend with them, and actually you kind of get their real personalities.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go and get your hair cut and you end up telling the beautician your life story and
Yeah.
things you would never tell a stranger.
Hmm.
I think guests will open up a little bit more to you because they can be normal and they don't have to
Yeah.
put on a front or anything.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of a fun experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and with your barbershop reference, I definitely get that. I don't have a lot up here, but I got a lot down here. And my dude Jimmy James over at the neighborhood barbershop on 17th Street, shout out to you, Jimmy James. Dude's a magician with a pair of scissors. And yeah, I haven't been going to him super long, maybe about a year or so, but it's like we're old buddies and like he'll ask the right questions to get me just to like spill everything. It's crazy how that works. And
Yeah, those and bartenders.
yeah.
I don't know what it is about those two jobs that you just start gabbing with
Yeah.
people, and the next thing you know, you've told them things that you're like, whoa, I don't know if I really wanted to tell them that, but
Yep,
and
like
then
well,
you
it's
tip
out.
them. Yeah,
Yep.
like a therapist, you tip them, and
Yep.
thanks for hearing my problems.
Yeah. And like you said about meeting a lot of the guests, I've been a huge pro wrestling fan my entire life. And when Brandon called me to say, "Hey, do you want to interview the Honky Tonk Man on stage at Retro X?" I was like, "Of course I do." And just meeting him in person was kind of a trip. And because I've never really met a wrestler in person, except for him. And meeting Mike Kingston last year, who's someone I've been a huge fan of on the internet for years. Um, and I've actually had him on this show a couple times, and I've never had a chance to meet him in real life. So meeting him last year was super cool. But we got to see the Honky Tonk Man's personality, and for people who were in attendance at my Q&A, you'll definitely remember what his personality was like. But yeah, he's definitely a larger than life personality, and that was an experience that you could only get in person.
Yeah, I remember watching him when I was little,
Yeah,
and wrestling, and he'd come out with his guitar and his Elvis, uh, outfit, and you just, I remember my dad who would just sit there and that honky tonk man, and uh, he hit Hulk Hogan from the back with his guitar or hit someone, and you're just so mad at him.
yeah,
And I remember collecting the figures, the big LJN rubber ones that were like
yep,
that big, and Junkyard Dog and all those guys. They were my, I just loved wrestling. And so
yeah,
when the Honky Tonk Man, he doesn't have an agent. So when I first talked to him, I called him on the phone and I said, "How you doing, sir?" And I don't know if do you call him by his real name or do you call him Honky Tonk? Luckily, I called him by his real name, and he was, you know, lucky that he was okay with it. But it was funny. I was talking to him, and I said, "How's it going?" He's like, just in the backyard cooking some steaks. It's a clearance sale at my local grocery store every Tuesday. They get rid of the steaks that I think are starting to get older,
oh man,
uh, close to expiration, and he goes and gets his steaks. And
that's funny.
I thought that was just so normal, you
Yeah,
know, just like normal. It's what everyone else does. He doesn't go out and buy the best, steaks on the market. And it was really fun to just hear him and then of course then he talks about going to Japan with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And then you're
yeah,
back to like nerding out like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, this guy like wrestled some of the best in the business.
it's true. And speaking of those LJN figures, those are making a comeback right now,
Yeah,
big
over at
time.
Target.
Yeah, a
They
lot of
had
them,
some.
they're kind of doing a mix of the old school and some new school too.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was a really good idea to
I do
put
too.
John Cena and different people
Yep.
in there.
Hmm. All right, guys. So let's talk about Pop Fusion. You got a store coming pretty soon. It's going to be the super central headquarters of RetroX in the future. So let's talk about, what inspired you guys to open up a store.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, please.
So part of that does go back to, Phil's. been collecting for many years, and he loves a good deal. So if he sees something that he's like, oh, this is special and it's a really good price, I'll go
Sure.
ahead and get it and then set it aside. So those setting asides, ended up into being a decent little pile of goodies that I'm happy to get out of the house. So,
I'm sure.
it'll be nice to be able to bring those things out and sell. I know when we look for vintage toys, it's tough. It's search, and the search is fun, but there's sometimes where you're like, I just want to go into a store that just exclusively has the thing I'm looking for. And so, when they come into Pop Fusion, they're going to be able to see vintage toys, but they'll also be able to see other fun pop culture items. And that's why we picked the name, because it'll be pop culture items, but a fusion of different things.
Sure.
And so, we'll have the vintage toys and some newer toys. And then we're also going to be having some cross stitching, like I mentioned earlier, just some fun stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to plan to do some like sit and stitch nights where you can just kind of hang out with the other people that are stitching, maybe do real simple lessons to get people introduced to it.
Nice.
So that'll be really fun. And then we're also going to do custom apparel because Phil's got his background in graphic design. Um, and then throw in some fun antiques in there too. And we've definitely got a fusion. So,
Very cool.
One of
yeah.
the other things we really want to highlight as we go to conventions, and you go to conventions and you see some of the hot spots of a convention, it's not always the guests.
Yeah.
If you go down the artist alley in Fan X, you can't even move. It is
It's
so
true. It's true.
packed. Like you want to stop and look at someone's art and you can't because it's just,
Wall to wall people.
yeah, people.
Can
And
confirm.
so for me, I think about, okay, these guys are traveling around the country, some of them, and away from home, trying to, crossing their fingers that this con's going to be a good one. They're going to sell some prints or sell some pins or whatever they're selling.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if they had a place where I could sell their designs, their art, and I give them a paycheck every month. So let's say they have a bad con, but hey, they did well in my store. And so now they get a paycheck that help pay for gas or flight or whatever. Um, and so one of the things we're doing is teaming up with artists that will provide me with their um, creations. So these are non-trademark things. These are whether it be anime or kaiju or whatever they're into, fantasy. Um, if it's something that we feel and they feel will sell, like if they're at shows and they sell a lot of prints of this art, let's put it on shirts, bags, hoodies, things people can wear around and just not hang
Yeah.
up in their home. Um, and because a lot of the artists would tell me, hey, I would love to have merch. People say, hey, this would be cool on a t-shirt. I'd
Yeah.
love to show it off to my friends. Um, and so my idea is bring it into the store and we'll have, so for instance, let's talk about Jeff. Uh, Jeff Cox would be great to have a Jeff Cox collection
For
and
sure.
Garbage Pail Kids he created and
Yeah.
put on shirts and totes and all kinds of stuff. And then people can come in and they're not having to go to J.C. Penney's or Target or Walmart or wherever. They can come in and pick out a cool shirt they're going to wear, you know, the next day to whatever, and or a hoodie, in the fall, and show off this cool design that no one else has.
Yeah.
Um, and it helps the artists, it helps us, it helps the community have different places to go to buy, because not everyone wants something with Yu-Gi-Oh, or
Right.
Pokemon. They
Hmm.
want something different. They want something that is unique. And that's what I want to bring is, okay, we brought you Retro X, which is, I think, unique for this area.
Yeah.
Let's bring you apparel and things that, stickers or prints that you can hang up. I've got some prints on the way in that are just they are awesome. They're 12 by 24,
Oh
and
wow.
they're just amazing. Uh, the artist, his play on Aliens and Predator and all these other things in the fandom and the fan art that he creates,
That's cool.
that he sells at shows. Slimer eating hot dogs, just cool
Yeah.
things you're not going to see around.
Right. Speaking of that kaiju stuff, Rachel Kingery, we're talking about
Yes,
you. We're talking about you. So shout out to you because you're amazing, and I can't wait to see your artwork in his shop. It's going to be
yes.
incredible. And
Yeah, I've already hit her up on having her
nice.
her stuff here.
Yeah,
Wait till you haven't seen the poster that she created, right?
I did.
Oh, you
I
did?
she
Okay.
well, so and I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. So if I got her in trouble, Rachel, I'm sorry. Um, she had mentioned that she was late turning it in, and she didn't know if she was going to get in trouble, and
Oh,
she wanted to show somebody in case it never got shown. So she showed me, and it's incredible.
yeah, it's really cool. I think it's
Yeah,
going to be, I think her throwing Idaho Falls in there, like Jeff Cox and Adrian do
yeah,
them for us as well. And they always like to throw their themes in there, and I love it.
yeah,
But hers, because she's from here, I think it lives here. She throwing in a little bit of things, items that I think people will see and gravitate to, and want the poster,
yeah.
and hopefully take it to her, get it signed. Um, she gave me the original, so thank you.
That's
Um,
cool.
I'm so happy. I usually like with Jeff, he gave me the original, and I had it mounted with the poster,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it's hanging in our shop here. And I'm going to do the same with hers. And
Very
um,
cool.
that's one of the things that we also do. Is I get autographs from all these from the art from some of the artists, some of the guests, and I'm compiling them because at our 10 year, I want to do a big through the years museum thing at the
That'd be
event
cool.
and have things signed. And I try to get fun stuff signed that, not just like a print,
Yeah,
or like a photograph or something. I want something kind of fun,
yeah.
that we're gonna be able to show off. So I've got my little vault that I keep my things in that I'll share at our 10 year.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see Jeff's. He was talking to me about it last week. He's getting ready to throw it together. He hasn't quite got it done yet, but I'm excited to see what he does. And I've got his from a couple years ago. I've got Adrian's as well. Um, yeah, Jeff's art would be cool on some merch too if you can talk to him about it. I know, as you'll find out this week, shameless plug for myself, there is some pretty strict guidelines they have in place when it comes to Garbage Pail Kids.
Hmm.
So I think that'll be kind of tricky, but I think it's definitely possible. So yeah, this week well, this will come out next week. But if you're listening to this when this comes out, look back the week before and listen to the one with Jeff because that was incredible. Hear all about Garbage Pail Kids. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. Um, and I think one thing that I don't know if you guys thought about, but Shadow Domain, which is an awesome store here in town,
They're
also have been
great.
on this show. They recently, in their new location, have started doing like little pop-up events where they'll have vendors come and set up tables and sell all their weird stuff that kind of fits on theme with Shadow Domain. So that'd be kind of cool. It sounds like you guys might have the space to do something similar with nerdy stuff where occasionally you guys have people come in, set up some tables and sell art or other
Yep.
knickknacks. So I think that'd be a cool thing too.
Yeah, yeah, I think we're planning on that. I'm trying to keep the area open in the
Yeah,
middle so that we can do little things like that. Or another thing I want to do is start flying a guest in, whether it be
yeah,
actor, actress, or an artist or someone that people can come meet, get things signed, um, just to keep throughout the year people looking forward to Retro X, looking forward to, what they're gonna do as cosplay, all kinds
yeah.
of stuff. So that's something we're looking into. The other thing I want to put on is I really want to put on an artist show, kind of artists. slash kind of anime, where it focuses just on that, not really focusing on guests and exhibits and more just you come in, it's nitty gritty, old school, just walk the vendor booths and meet these artists and um, uh, really focus on them. I think that's something that would become popular around here.
Yeah. So kind of like a mini artist alley kind of.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's cool. That's a
Yeah.
very cool idea.
Yeah. And that way all the people we've had to turn away and put on the wait list can get a chance to get out there and show their work too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's insane. We have, so talking about Mountain America, here we only can have about 70 vendors because we give away spots, double spots to local businesses to have fun things and show off their business, which I
Yeah.
love supporting the local businesses because
Yeah.
we're now
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
And so we could get about 70 booths in. Over at Mountain America, we're going to be able to get, if we rent everything, I think she said over 200
Wow.
booths. The crazy thing is, we have so many vendor applications, we could almost fill a good portion of that right now.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sure.
talking 75%.
Yeah.
So that's why we feel good because I don't have to raise my prices on
Yeah.
ticket sales. I don't have to raise my prices on vendor booths,
Yeah.
artist booths, and food vendors, whomever. Um, that's for me, that was the big, okay, let's look into this more because I don't have to raise the prices. And our vendors have told us compared to Boise and Salt Lake and that we're, price wise, we're very reasonable on our
That's
vendor
cool.
booth fees, and they have also told me they do just as well here, almost just as well as they do going to Salt Lake or Boise,
That's
just
cool.
because people here want it and
Yeah.
they're willing to spend the money on things that they're not going to get every day. They have to wait a whole another year for it to come back.
It's true. Very
I
true.
know Phil had mentioned too, we want to support the community and keep things affordable and have local artists and vendors be able to come. We
Yeah.
also give a portion of our sales to charity. So in the past, we've done canned food drives for the community food
Food basket of
basket.
Idaho Falls.
And this year, we're going to give a cash donation to the food basket and then also to the Idaho Falls Rescue Mission because they can use cash a little bit better than they can use donated items.
Sure.
So, we're always just so happy to be able to support these community organizations that are so greatly needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people don't think, and I never thought about this. During the Christmas season and the Thanksgiving, you get that warm fuzzy and you want to
Yeah.
give. You're like, oh, I want to donate time, or I'm going to give, the bell ringer at Christmas some extra money or whatever. But
Yeah.
then summer hits and you're like, okay, I want to go camping. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to do what. So I'm not giving during
Yeah.
summer. And um, so they hurt a lot in the summertime. They have to prepare for summer. For us, the food was great, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm glad people got a couple bucks off their ticket. But I think with the way they can manage that money and these local retailer grocery stores give them discounts and all that, it'll go a lot farther.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just, if you're doing well enough to where you can donate, you should donate. I mean, there's people that aren't in the position that you are. And I mean, when we got together, we were dirt poor. I remember
Sure.
digging through, you know, looking for money and wherever we could find it because we were
Yep.
poor in college and um, it sucks.
Yeah, man. I get it.
Anyone that says it's fun, they're lying. It sucks. You want to be comfortable and be able to
Yeah,
go to the doctor or whoever and have money to do it. And so I think food should be one of the last things you have to worry about in this
for
country.
sure.
So for us, if we can just help a little in this area, um, that for me, that makes me really proud, um, to be able to do that.
For sure. And, I'm right there with you. I've been with my wife for a super long time, and I remember back in the early days of being together, we would always, keep the change jar, collect all the change and go and stick it in the coin star and,
Yeah.
like, all right, how much we gonna get this time, So yeah, definitely can relate with that, couples starting out for sure. And yeah, I've heard that, food donations are nice and, there's nothing against food donations, but I heard somewhere I think where they can take like $5 and turn it into meals for like a ton of people. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
definitely, I've heard that they can definitely, stretch money a little further than a donation. So, I as much as I know that both are appreciated or and whatever is appreciated, I think, you're right that definitely money goes a little bit further for sure. So, yeah, definitely let's help support the locals, because we want to help support local. If we want more cool stuff locally, because I've had this discussion before where people complain that there's not enough cool stuff to do locally. You have to go
Hmm.
further out, but it's like there's more cool stuff locally than you think there is.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of going and getting enough people to go and not facilitate, but go and go and go and spend your money at the local places that you think are
Yeah.
cool, so to keep them in business and keep more stuff coming here.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Because, I mean, for instance, the axe throwing place closed down here in
Yeah,
town. And we went on a date night with friends a couple times to that. And it's a shame that we don't have that anymore. You
yeah,
know,
and my friend was the manager there, and it's just because just people just didn't come enough. That was the
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, and it was fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. It was different than sitting in a movie. You
Yep.
don't get to talk to your friends. You're sitting in a movie or a restaurant. I mean, it feels like in this town, it's like you're just going to eat or camp or hunt or something, and there's
Yeah.
nothing against that because that's where we live. It's just when you have that other entertainment that the big cities have and you're not having to drive, I think you should celebrate that and help these businesses, help these events. Um, because once they're gone, they're gone. And then you're
Yep.
sitting online buying your comic book and hoping it gets in good shape there and that the person selling it isn't lying on the condition. And, and you just don't get and then you sit at your house and look at your comics and you have no one to talk to about them.
Yeah.
Go to the Comic Con. You're going to bump into someone that collects,
Yeah.
a comic book or Pokemon card or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, if we don't want another gas station or another bank or another car wash, for God's sakes,
Yeah.
because that seems to be, that's what's
Yeah.
coming here. If we want more than just that, we need to get out and, support these local businesses. Like I just found out this weekend that there's another comic book store, which I had no idea.
Yes.
And that was Side Quest Comics. Shout out to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, just found out about that, which I think is incredible. And it's
Next
cool
to
that,
Revival Games.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to them. They were also on the show, and they're a couple of great guys that work there.
They
So,
really are.
yeah,
Yeah.
And again, that's another one. That place is a gem. It's fun.
yeah,
He's got all kinds of stuff to do in there, and
It's an
you just
arcade.
don't know about it because it's in a kind of a,
It's tucked away.
yeah, it's not a high traffic area right there.
yeah,
But when people find there's a video game store, there's a place that has games you can go game at.
yeah,
There's a place, and you're like, yeah. And then the comic book shop, he's going to have a booth up front.
Cyclist.
Site, yeah. And so I love supporting him, even though I'll be selling comics here. There's no competition.
yeah,
He'll have things I don't have.
yeah,
I'll have things he doesn't have. People are going to come to either, it just gives them more places to stop off. IC Games is right across from us. He's got comic books, he's got gaming stuff. So, I mean, I think if you look at it as a being cooperating with each other,
yep,
being each other's cheerleaders
yep,
versus they're going to take some business from me or they're going to, this area, people will drive from Pocatello up here, just
yeah,
like people drive from Idaho Falls to go down to Captain Bangles to buy comic books. It's just going to start happening once they find out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think the more we grow this community, the more we can support each other and it benefits, everyone.
Yeah, and when you're done at the books, or when you're done at the video game store and done at the comic book store, go around the back side to the bookstore because the bookshelf is an incredible
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
And
Yep.
those Tony and those guys there are incredible, so you should go check them out too. Just like you said, there's got to be a little bit more camaraderie, even if you're doing the same kind of thing, you're still going to be offering different things. I know there's been a few local businesses that started out as the friendly, working together, but then they
Mhm.
end up taking jabs at each other and turning into a competition, and that doesn't help anybody. So, it just is going to be better to work together.
Oh yeah, Restored with Love. It opened up. She used to have a booth at the Comic Con. Her grandpa, in if you have you ever been to the antique store,
Trackside Mall.
Trackside Mall?
Which is,
Yeah.
It
yeah.
upstairs there's a media area that has old
Hmm.
magazines and comics, and so her grandfather, who's 90 years old, he runs that, and so she would set his booth up at Retro X, and it was packed. I mean, I couldn't even get in there. People rifling through. I mean, he's got like newspaper clippings and, I mean, everything you think of, just anything media. And so she opened up a business on the west side of town by Albertsons. It's right next to the liquor store.
Okay.
Um, I mean, that little strip there,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got the
yeah.
vape shop and everything.
Hmm.
And so she's got a great little store. It's
Yeah.
super fun, super classy. And what she does is really cool. So there's another place down the road on the west side. I forget the name of them, but they're kind of the same stuff that she sells. And instead of fighting with each other, she, on her receipt, it actually mentions their business with a discount. And you can take it over after buying something from her and get a discount from them and vice versa.
That's cool.
Is that not like, I mean, instead of saying, oh, they're selling the same thing as me and blah, 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 they're feeding off each other. And it's just, it really helps the customer. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you save 10% off your order. I
Hmm.
mean, and you have more places to shop.
Yeah. And I mean, I just barely went to the Trackside Mall for the first time a couple of years ago.
Oh,
No,
Yeah,
that is
I've
great.
heard about it for years and I've never just gone,
Yeah.
but I was like, for our wedding anniversary last year, because it was our 20th wedding anniversary, my wife and I decided, you know, there's a bunch of places in town that we've never been to, and we always
oh,
talk about going, or like ones that we've been to once and have never been back. So that's the big thing we're going to do is we're just going to go to the places we've either been once or twice, or we're going to go to the place we've always talked about. So we went to the little the collection museum just down the street from IF High School, which is
Mhm.
incredible place. And we went to the Trackside Mall because I had never been there, and my wife had been there a bunch. And I actually found in that upstairs level, I found a framed Sega Genesis poster from 1984. And I was
oh,
like,
Oh,
all right, I'm gonna have this. Like it was like I mean, it had the folds in it still from 1984, but it was in
oh, cool.
this cool frame. I was like, "Yep, I'm having that. That's super rad." And so it's such a cool place.
It's hard to believe that's in our backyard, some of these,
Oh, for
because it's
sure.
tucked away and, you don't really,
oh, but it's so fun. There's so
Yeah.
much interesting things
oh,
there.
another place you should take your wife, and I didn't know it was going to be as cool as it was in Pocatello, Don Aslet's
Museum
Museum
of
of Clean.
Clean.
I've heard about that.
It
It
is
is
really
so
cool.
cool.
I've heard about that. That's cool.
Who knew vacuum cleaners could be cool? But they have so much more than just a vacuum cleaner. Just
Mhm.
it's really neat.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
roadside Americana and just really cool stuff.
that's cool.
Great for kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know like the collection museum is one that I've driven past. I've lived here almost my entire life and I've driven past it thousands of times and I never like I've always thought like I need to stop in there. I just never did. And so
Yeah.
we finally did. And first of all, if you're going, it's cash only. So make sure you grab some cash before you go. But the sweetest old couple manages the place. And there is collections of all different kinds all over. Like it's just a museum filled with collections of all different kinds, toys and money and just all sorts of crazy stuff. And it is just the coolest store. and the guy will walk you through and kind of talk about, the collections, and some pieces are only exclusive to Idaho Falls, like they don't exist anywhere else. And oh, it's such a cool place to go.
Yeah, I haven't been there. I'm the same with you. I've driven by it, so, and I always say, I'm a toy collector. Why have I not ever walked through there to look
Yeah.
around? I'll have to do that.
It's real cool. They got lots of cool toys in there. There's the whole room that's dedicated to Barbie. There's like some Elvis stuff.
Uh,
They have a gift shop, but the gift shop is like some stuff that people have donated. They're like really old toys and stuff like that. So it's
Oh,
super,
wow.
super cool. Like they have a bunch of old like McDonald's toys from like the 90s you can just pick up and purchase. It's real cool.
huh. Yeah, I'll have to swing in there.
Yeah.
Definitely should. Definitely recommend. All right, guys. So the big event. Oh, actually, before we do that, so your store, you said it's going to be across from Inner Circle, so it's going to be kind of in that same plaza.
Mm.
Yeah, we're right next to Canton, uh,
Okay.
the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
We're right next door to them. So I'm working on designing the sign, that kind of thing. We're hoping to open in July,
Okay.
is what I'm crossing my fingers that. Uh, Again, anyone that ever runs a con, don't try to open a store at the same time, the same month or so. Do it like if it's in the summer, do it in the fall, just because it is
For sure.
so much work to do both of them and so much money to try to put two things like that together.
Oh, I'm sure.
Um, but at the same time, it was the best time as well for us.
Sure.
So it's one of those labors of love. Once it's done, it's going to be amazing. But yeah,
Definitely.
we're just in the plaza right across the mall. There's the Verizon, Little Caesars, Dollar Store, Jalisco's. So it's a really great, the traffic that comes through here is amazing.
Tons of people. And you can just make a
Yes.
whole afternoon of it. Go check out the comic book store, go have
Yeah.
lunch at Jalisco's, go to the dollar store and just wander around, and then go to Pop Fusion. Swing by
Yeah.
Verizon if you want on the way out, even though I don't know why you would, because that
Because
store is that
you
store
have
is such a
money just to
bummer.
throw away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I've been a Verizon customer for years, and I think I went in there like every week for 2 months to try to get some issue fixed. And I'm like, I've been here more than the last month than I have been ever my entire time of being a Verizon customer. It was the
Wow.
pits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. You got to hit it just right when they have no customers. Because I mean, when you walk through the door, the hope is that you're buying a new phone and a new
Yeah.
plan, and then you're like, no, I just want to fix my phone, or I
Yep.
just want to fix, I don't my plan, adjust it.
Yep.
Then it's kind of deflating for them. I think they're like, oh, I have
Yeah.
to do tech support or
I
customer
don't get
service.
commission on this.
Exactly. So then you kind of feel bad a little bit like, oh, sorry, I've been with you for 25 years.
Yeah.
We've been with them since, gosh, a long
A
time.
long. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Me
I
too.
think by now we'd
Um,
get a free something. I mean, good God.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
mean, who
dumb.
stays together for 20 some years? There's a lot of marriages that don't even last that long.
That's true. That's dedication for sure.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys. So check out their store. It's coming in July. Make sure you stay on the social medias to keep track and find out where it's going to be. And Retro X is coming very soon. It's on June 12th and 13th, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So, ladies, if you've got a father in your life, it's right before Father's Day. So there's going to be lots of good stuff to choose from. So make sure you hit up Retro X for the excitement, for the cool guests, for all the cool things that are going to be there. Um, and do some early Father's Day shopping while you're at it because it's going to be
Yeah,
awesome. There's going to be a lot of community. It's a great time to have a nerd convention right before Father's Day. It's super convenient. Especially because we don't have places like Hastings anymore just to go pick up,
I know.
awesome, weird, nerdy stuff. So what better place than to, help support a bunch of local people? All right.
true.
So is there anything you guys want to talk about Retro X that we haven't talked about yet? Now's the chance. Let's talk about whatever we haven't talked about.
So you can buy tickets online if you don't want to wait in line at the event. You can also buy tickets at the door. And we are using an app this year called Contrack. So Contrack. That's going to have our map, our exhibitors, our description of events. You can schedule a reminder for a panel and it'll remind you so you don't miss it. So it's going to be a really great tool. And it'll also keep our artist and vendor information on for 10 months after the event. So if you
Nice.
get home and realize, oh, I really wish I would have bought that, you have a place to reach out to the vendor and get a hold of them. So it's going to be a really good tool. We're really excited about using it this year.
Then we also have a treasure hunt that you'll be able to, you explain it, you've been working on it.
Sure. So we're going to have a treasure hunt that uses the app. So it'll give you a clue. You'll go to where the clue takes you. It'll give you an answer, which takes you to the next clue. And then when you get to the end, you'll get a little prize, and then you can enter in for a chance to win a 55-inch TV,
Yeah.
a big old TV.
Ooh,
So
nice.
yeah. And it'll be fun, kind of a little adventure while you're there. And because I know some people will stay the whole day. And so it's, just something fun to do. And then you might get around and see some vendors that you normally wouldn't have stopped at.
And Keiko Joe's sponsored the treasure hunt. So you'll be able to win gift cards to Keiko Joe's,
Nice.
that kind of thing. Weeby Toys, they're going to be sponsoring the um, cosplay contest.
Nice.
Um, we've got Homestead Pizza there. They're funny. They always have a table. I keep trying to get him into something else, but he just sets up his little folding table and he has gift or certificates for bowling or pizza or that kind of thing. And they're one of the first people who call us to make sure they get a spot every year.
That's
And they're
cool.
so awesome. They donate 2 days worth of pizza for our volunteers for lunch.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Another great local business.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely.
They're so awesome. And then Falls Printing does our posters and a lot of our publications as our sponsor for our media. We got Rich Broadcasting. They've been amazing. They do some great trades with us, and they get their DJs in there who are super fun. Shaggy was geeking out about uh, Honky Tonk Man, getting him in his studio.
I remember
It
that.
was a great interview, super fun. Um, who am I missing?
There's so many. The 501st is a costuming organization for Star Wars, and they're going to
Yep.
be setting up a really great interactive experience this year where kids can actually drive a little vehicle around and
Yep.
do a little like race. So we're really excited to see
Yeah, the
Yeah,
that.
I'm
501st are awesome because they every year they come up with something new.
yeah.
You know, uh, then you've got the Ghostbusters group, you've got the Halo group, you've got Storybook Parties, who's
Yep.
been with us from day
Amanda's
one,
awesome.
Amanda,
Amanda's
super
awesome.
great supporters.
Yep.
She always lends her people out to our other events we do, like at the theater and stuff. She's amazing.
She is amazing.
That's
Bricks and Minifigs and Revival Games.
Yep.
I mean, they do such great exhibits and super easy to work with. Um, gosh, I think
I mean, we could go on all night about the
Yeah.
community support, and we're just so blessed and thankful.
Yeah. I've actually been friends with Doug Atwood for a while, and I asked him, and he gets so excited talking about it. It's super, super cool.
when I love that we can do it here because
Yeah.
then they don't we get I think we can get more because it's near their home.
Yeah.
They can just drive home and pick up whatever versus driving it to Salt Lake or to Boise or somewhere.
Yep.
So I love having them near us because I feel like that's going to benefit us in terms of just having really cool setups.
Yep. Yeah, Doug is super cool guy. I've never actually officially met Erin, but I've heard she's incredible.
Erin's fun. Yeah, she's
So
great.
very, very cool. Right, well, guys, where can we stay up to date to hear all the stuff about Retro X and stuff about the store? Let's tell everybody who doesn't
Our
already
social
know.
media, of course, Retro X, Idaho Falls. And then our website, www.idahofallsretrox at gmail.com. And then also our app. So if on your app, if you search for con track, TRACK, it'll take you to the download. The cool thing about this download is he's got cons all over the United States. So you're downloading an app that brings you all the information. So if you want to go to Washington to a convention or Oregon, or it's gonna, be there, most likely. And so you'll be able, and it brings, as it gets closer, you move up. So you can scroll through all the cons, click and see what guests, see times, buy tickets, the whole thing. So we're
Very cool.
really loving the app. We're hoping people will get more used to it, and they'll keep it on their phones to see what's going on as we grow throughout the year, and then also buy from the vendors that they missed.
For sure. Definitely very cool. All right, now for me, I want to take a minute to thank Polygon Horizon. Their song Pizza Force is the song I use for the show. Go check them out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. They're incredible. So go show them some love. You can find my show on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can also email me at fueledbyweird@gmail.com. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. And I have a link tree I'll put in the notes. You guys can click the link tree and look at all my links from there. I want to shout out Hassel Hutchison, my dude down south. He has a show called the Nerdy Man Room Show. He does a show that also is called the Nerdy Man Room Show. Hassel's Review. He does a lot of toy unboxings. He does a show Card Subject to Change. It's kind of like a what if, but for pro wrestling. He puts a lot of work into that, and it's super great. So go check it out. Also, Big Rob's House of Entertainment. No Chinese food. Big Rob does a lot of toy hunts. He goes a lot of searching for all the good deals. So go check him out as well. The three of us with our friend Monster, we make up the Stay Weird Network. It's a podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet because the internet kind of sucks sometimes and it needs to be more awesome. Check us out at Stay Weird Network on YouTube and Instagram. You can also email us at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. Now, if you like this show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, it's only weird if you make it weird. So make it real weird. Phil, Don, thanks so much for joining me tonight, guys.
Hey,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the time. Thank you.
Absolutely.